As it is written, there is not one, none righteous, no, not one. There is not one, or there is none that understandeth. There is none that seeketh after God. They are all gone out of the way. They are all together become unprofitable. There is none that doeth good, no, not one. Their throat is an open sepulchre. With their tongues they have used deceit. The poison of asps is under their lips. Their mouth is full of cursing and bitterness. Their feet are swift to shed blood. Destruction and misery are in their ways. The way of peace have they not known. Man's just not a very good fellow. There is no fear of God before their eyes. Possibly what drives a man's problem. Verse 20, the purpose. Therefore, by the deeds of the law there shall no flesh be justified in his sight. For by the law is the knowledge of sin. Israel got in trouble. We won't go there. They said all that the Lord said we will do, and of course that made them to be obedient 100% of the time. They couldn't keep the law, wouldn't keep the law, neither do we. But now the righteousness of God without the law is manifested, being witnessed by the law and even the prophets. Even the righteousness of God which is by faith of Jesus Christ unto all and upon all them that believe, there is no difference. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God, being justified freely by his grace through the redemption that is in Christ Jesus. Mm-hmm. Jesus paid it all, did it all.
Amen.
Rightfully the wind beneath our wings. I mean, it's not of our doing. In Revelation chapter 6, verse 15. Verse 15. All the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, every bondman and every free man, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sitteth upon the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. They are actually thinking getting crushed underneath the mountains is better than what they face with him. This must be serious. Well, it is. For the great day of his wrath has come, and who shall be able to stand? And nobody's standing for it yet. They'd rather have the rocks to cover them, which is not as bad as having to face God in judgment. Well, you're still going to face him in judgment. And your body's going to be crushed. Which they will think this is an inferior judgment. Revelation chapter 1 and verse 7. Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him, even so, amen. They know how bad it's going to get. All their running, being defiant, sinning against the Almighty. Their antics have caught up with them. Now it's time to pay. The world likes to think of God as that proverbial kind old white-haired man that wouldn't hurt anybody. It loves everybody. When they see the real truth, it ain't that way. He's a thrice holy, sin-avenging God. I mean, everybody always talks about funerals anymore, a celebration. I'm thinking, they have, as we all will stand before this holy being. It's scary. Christ said, fear him that hath power to cast both body and soul in hell. Well, last week we looked at judgment. Now I guess we're still really looking at judgment. We shall judge angels. Christ will judge the world. He come the first time to save the world. Our mission is of grace. Then the next return, his return will be war upon the ungodly, casting his body and soul into eternal torment at the great white throne. It's going to be very sad. We read in the last of Revelation, chapter 22, him that is righteous, let him be righteous still. Not going to change. He that is holy, let him be holy still. It's chapter 22, verse 11. He that is unjust, let him be unjust still. And he which is filthy, let him be filthy still. He that is righteous, let him be righteous still. He that is holy, let him be holy still. And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me to give every man according as his work shall be. Now I know there's those we read of in 2 Peter chapter 3 verse 1. Where is the promise of his coming? All things continue. Well, they're not going to be saying that then. It's going to be just like a dream in the night. It's going to be gone. You were either righteous or you were wicked. Many may plead for mercy, cry out. Well, whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. Romans also tells us that. The souls of the wicked will bear eternal torment. I got my notes. I don't know if it's right or not. Isaiah chapter 3. Sometimes my writing is not so good. Never been good. Because Isaiah, you write ISA, that could be 1 Samuel. Isaiah 3 and 9. The mean man boweth down, and the great man humbleth himself, therefore forgive him not. Enter into thy rock, and hide thee in the dust, for fear of the Lord, for the glory of his majesty. The lofty looks of man shall be humbled, and the haughtiness of men shall be bowed down, and the Lord alone shall be exalted in that day. For the day of the Lord of hosts shall be upon every one that is proud and lofty, and upon every one that is lifted up, and he shall be brought low. And upon all the cedars of Lebanon that are high and lifted up, and upon all the oaks of Bashan, and upon all the high mountains, and upon all the hills that are lifted up, upon every high tower and every fenced wall, and upon all the ships of Tarshish, and upon all pleasant pictures. The loftiness of man shall be bowed down, and the haughtiness of men shall be made low. The Lord alone shall be exalted in that day, and the idols he shall utterly abolish. They shall go into the holes of the rocks, and into the caves of the earth, for fear of the Lord, for the glory of his majesty, when he ariseth to shake terribly the earth. In that day a man shall cast his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which they made, each one of them of himself to worship, to the moles and to the bats, to go into the clefts of the rocks and to the tops of the ragged rocks, for the fear of the Lord, and for the glory of his majesty, which when he ariseth to shake terribly the earth. cease ye from man whose breath is in his nostrils, for wherein he is accounted of. And you think about that, the breath of life. That's very fragile. I mean, it's one little stroke and you're gone. David wrote one time, I'm a step away from death. We're always a step away from death. Mm-hmm. It pretty much covers what man is going to face. The wicked go on in their sin. We are to be witnesses. I mean, our job is just point souls to Christ. And it's not a big job. Turn to the book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 24. Second Chronicles 24:1. Joash was 7 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 40 years in Jerusalem, and his mother's name also was Ziba of Beersheba. Now we know that Israel had some good kings. They were sometimes really young. Sometimes those like Manasseh reigned longer than anybody. He reigned 55 years, and he was evil. He's the worst one they ever had. Josiah and Joash were very young when they began. This man Joash said, verse 2, and Joash did that which was right in the sight of the Lord. But it also goes on to say all the days of Jehoiada the priest. Mm-hmm. This man Jehoiada, you don't read much about him. Oddly enough, when he passed on, they buried him in the city of David among the kings. Mm-hmm. They didn't always bury the kings there. But they buried this man there. He was a priest, which we're studying kings and priests. Joash did that which was right in the sight of the Lord all the days of Jehoiada the priest. And Jehoiada took for him 2 wives, and he begat sons and daughters. And it came to pass after that that Joash was minded to repair the house of the Lord. And he gathered together the priests and the Levites, and said unto them, go out into the cities of Judah, and gather of all Israel money to repair the house of your God from year to year, to see that ye hasten the matter, howbeit the Levites hastened it not. And the king called for Jehoiada, the chief, and said he was a priest. He's the captain. Said unto him, why hast thou not required of the Levites to bring out of Judah and out of Jerusalem the collection according to the commandment? And Moses, the servant of the Lord and of the congregation of Israel, for the tabernacle of witnesses. For the sons of Athaliah, that wicked woman, now what she had done, she killed all that she thought was living of the Davidic kingly line, and she missed one. This same Joash. Joash had a nurse that hid him in the house of the Lord for 6 years. That wicked woman, her son was killed, so everybody else is going to die. The sons of Athaliah, that wicked woman, had broken up the house of God, and also for the dedicated things of the house of the Lord did they bestow upon Balaam. They were worshiping Balaam in the Lord's house. And at the king's commandment they made a chest and set it without the gate of the house of the Lord. And they made a proclamation to Judah and Jerusalem to bring into it to the Lord the collection that Moses the servant laid upon Israel in the wilderness. Do like what we do. Put the money in a box. Treasure will take care of it. And all the princes and all the people rejoiced and brought it in and cast it into the chest until they had made an end. Now it came to pass that at what time the chest was brought to the king's office by the hand of the Levites, and when they saw that there was much money, the king's scribe and the high priest's officer came and emptied the chest and took it and carried it to his place again. Thus did they day by day and gathered money in abundance. And the king and Jehoiada gave it to such as did the work of the service of the house of the Lord, and hired masons and carpenters to repair the house of the Lord, and also such as wrought iron and brass to mend the house of the Lord. So the workmen wrought, and the work was perfected by them. And they set the house of God in his state and strengthened it. And when they had finished it, they brought the rest of the money before the king and Jehoiada, whereof were made vessels for the house of the Lord, even vessels to minister and to offer withal, and spoons and vessels of gold and silver. And they offered burnt offerings in the house of the Lord continually all the days of Jehoiada. But Jehoiada waxed old and was full of days when he died, and 130 years old was he when he died. And they buried him in the city of David among the kings, because he had done good in Israel, both toward God and toward his house. Now after the death of Jehoiada came the princes of Judah, and made obeisance to the king, and the king hearkened to them. And they left the house of the Lord God of their fathers, and served groves and idols, and wrath came upon Judah and Jerusalem for their trespass. One man's testimony kept a bunch of evil for a long time. Kept a bunch of evil from coming. Just one. And he done a very good work. And as long as he was alive, and he obviously saw that wickedness of the woman Athaliah, he had her taken out and slain. He cleaned the house. Now we will read on. Verse 18, and they left the house of the Lord God of their fathers, and served idols, groves and idols, and wrath came upon Judah and Jerusalem for this their trespass. Yet he sent prophets to them to bring them again to the Lord, and they testified against them, but they would not give ear. That one man, Jehoiada, kept evil down the whole time he was in there in office. Verse 20, the Spirit of God came upon Zechariah, the son of Jehoiada, the priest, which stood above the people, and said unto them, Thus saith God, why transgress ye the commandment of the Lord, that ye cannot prosper? Behold, because ye have forsaken the Lord, and the Lord hath forsaken you. They conspired against him, and stoned him with stones at the commandment of the king of the court of the house of the Lord. Thus Joash the king remembered not the kindness which Jehoiada his father had done to him, but slew his son. And when he died, he said, the Lord look upon it and require it. Mm-hmm. One man's testimony. How much good do you think one person can do today? Well, one thing for sure, you got to be in the middle of the action to get involved in the action. You can do trivial things and do great wonders. Turn over to 2 Kings. We read of a man called Naaman the leper. Now he had won a great battle for his Syrian Lord. But he was a leper. He was a great war hero. He needed help. In 2 Kings chapter 5, verse 1, Now Naaman, captain of the host of the king of Syria, was a great man with his master, and honorable, because by him the Lord had given deliverance into Syria. He was also a mighty man in valor, but he was a leper. And there was no cure for that disease, still ain't really. And the Syrians had gone out by companies and had brought away captive out of the land of Israel a little maid. The most menial thing they could have brought away. I mean, the victory that Naaman won was probably against Israel or Samaria, northern tribes. This little maid, she waited on Naaman's wife. And she said to her mistress, Would God, my Lord, were with the prophet that is in Samaria, for he would recover him of his leprosy. Now this little girl, I mean, they didn't like the Jews, but they took her captive. She told them what they needed to do. Out of the mouth of babes and sucklings. Verse 4, And one went in and told the Lord, saying, Thus and thus said the maid that is of the land of Israel. Why are they listening to her? She's just a young girl. And the king of Syria said, Go, and I will send a letter unto the king of Israel. And she departed and took with him 10 talents of silver and 6,000 pieces of gold, 10 changes of raiment. This man must have been a high-ranking officer. And he brought the letter to the king of Israel, saying, Now when the letter cometh unto thee, behold, I have therewith sent Naaman my servant, that thou mayest recover him of his leprosy. And it came to pass, when the king of Israel had read of the letter, I don't remember if it was Ahab, I don't think it was, but it was one of them kings it wasn't too good for. Am I God to kill and to make alive, that this man doth sent me to recover a man of his leprosy? Wherefore consider, I pray you, and see how he seeketh a quarrel against me. And it was so, when Elijah the man of God had heard that the king of Israel had rent his clothes, that he sent to the king, and saying, Wherefore hast thou rent thy clothes? Let him come now to me, and he shall know that there is a prophet in Israel. Now the same problem we've been having or reading about is, who's the true living God? Who's his prophet? Verse 10, verse 9. So Naaman came with his horses and with his chariot, and stood at the door of the house of Elijah. And Elisha sent a messenger unto him, saying, Go and wash in Jordan 7 times, and thy flesh shall come against thee, and thou shalt be clean. But Naaman was wroth, and went away, and said, Behold, I thought, he will surely come out to me, and stand and call upon the name of the Lord, and strike his hand over the place, and recover the leper. Are not Abana and Parpar rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? May I not wash in them and be clean? So he turned and went away in a rage. And his servants came near and spake unto him, and said, My father, if the prophet had bid thee to do some great thing, wouldst thou not have done it? How much rather then, when he saith to thee, Wash and be clean? Then went he down and dipped himself 7 times in Jordan, according to the saying of the man of God, and his flesh came again like unto the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. And he returned to the man of God, he and all his company, and came and stood before him. And he said, Behold, now I know that there is no God in all the earth but in Israel. Now wherefore I pray thee, take a blessing of my servant. You stop right there. One thing you got to see, you got to be a doer. I mean, if he doesn't go on with being washed, he's not going to lose his leprosy. The reason that that girl was taken captive was her parents hadn't done what they was to do in glorifying God. Any way you go, obedience brings blessing, and disobedience brings trouble. The righteous and the wicked. I mean, what makes the righteous righteous? Obedience. What makes the wicked wicked? Disobedience. Ecclesiastes chapter 8. Verse 12. Well, verse 11. Ecclesiastes 8:11. Because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily, therefore the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. We see evil flourishing because they've seen for years they do something, it's illegal, they get by with it. And because sentence is not executed speedily, they see they're getting by with it time after time. Their heart's fully set in them to do evil. But it ain't always going to be that way. Though a sinner do evil 100 times and his days be prolonged, yet surely I know that it shall be well with them that fear God, which fear before him, but it shall not be well with the wicked. Neither shall he prolong his days, which are as a shadow, because he feareth not before God. Man thinks because nothing happens when he does something bad, he's alright. But it ain't always going to be that way. Him that is righteous, let him be righteous still. And unrighteous, let him be unrighteous still. We're acting out in our lives what our souls believe within. Man, I mean, all the things that we're told we do that sin, if you don't avoid it, stay away from them, you'll be caught in it. Christ talking about getting adultery in your heart, looking upon a woman in lust. If you don't avoid it, you'll end up right in it. Acts 1:25. This is talking about Judas. They may take part of the ministry and apostleship, from which Judas by transgression fell, that he might go to his own place. Judas had his own place, son of perdition. He was baptized. The thief on the cross wasn't. In that day, the thief on the cross was in paradise with Christ, and Judas was in his own place, which is perdition. Hell is prepared for the devil and his angels, we're told in Matthew 25. Now that actually reads the devil and his heralds, mouthpieces, speakers, those that are representing the devil and hell. In John chapter 6:30, excuse me, 6:70. Jesus answered them, "Have not I chosen you 12, and one of you is a devil?" He told them that, verse 65, "I say to you that no man can come unto me except it were given unto him by my Father." From that time many of his disciples went back and walked no more with him. They were done with him. What was wrong? They didn't like what he said. He that's righteous is going to be righteous still. He that's wicked is going to be wicked still. God's unchanging. First Peter chapter 1, verse 15. They didn't like how God done things. I mean, Naaman the leper was healed. Well, how come he let Naaman's army destroy the armies of Israel and rewards Naaman? Well, they had disobeyed the Almighty for so long a time that eventually he's going to have enough. First Peter chapter 1 verse 15. "But as he which hath called you is holy, so be ye holy in all manner of conversion, because it is written, Be ye holy, for I am holy. And if you call upon the Father, who without respect of persons judgeth according to every man's work, pass the time of your sojourning here in fear." Now that means what it says. We have a fear for him. If we're going to stand before him, you better believe we're going to have a fear for him. This is a warning to the elect of God. Verse 6, that same chapter. "Wherein ye greatly rejoice now for a season, it need be you are in heaviness through manifold temptations, that the trial of your faith, being much more precious than of gold that perisheth, will be tried with fire, might be found to the praise and honor and glory at the appearing of Jesus Christ, whom having not seen ye love, and whom though now ye see him not, ye believe him. You rejoice with joy unspeakable and full of glory, receiving the end of your faith, even the salvation of your souls." That's all I have for this morning.